Look, I need you to hear me out on this one, because what's happening with Social Security right now, specifically these December dates everyone's glossing over, could directly impact your tax situation and your financial planning for 2025. And I'm not talking about the usual COLA adjustments everyone's been hyping up. I'm talking about something that just went live today. Something the Social Security Administration quietly released on Christmas Day that most people have no idea is even happening right now. December 25th and 26th. Two dates that sound innocent enough. Holiday dates. Family time. Last thing on your mind is Social Security paperwork, right? Wrong. Because while you're wrapping up the holidays, the SSA is releasing critical tax documents, specifically Form SSA 1099 and Form SSA 1042S. that detail every dollar of benefits you received in 2024 and exactly how much of it is subject to federal taxes. These forms went live online today. Physical copies start mailing tomorrow, December 26th. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to be blindsided when tax season hits. So here's what nobody's explaining clearly. These aren't just informational documents. These are the forms you need to file your taxes. They tell you your total benefit amount for the year and what portion is taxable. And here's where it gets messy. A lot of people are under the impression that Social Security taxes were eliminated. President Trump promised it during the campaign. The White House even put out statements saying they delivered on that promise. But here's the reality that's buried in the fine print. Nothing actually changed. The rules from the 1980s and 90s are still in place. If your combined income, that's your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest, plus half of your Social Security benefits, exceeds $25,000 as a single filer, or $32,000 as a married couple filing jointly, you're paying taxes on your benefits. Period. Let me show you something. According to a Social Security spokesperson who confirmed this to CNBC, all SSA 1099 forms are expected to be delivered by the end of January. That means you've got about a 5-week window where these documents are floating around, either in your online account or in the mail system. And if you're not actively tracking them, they could get lost, delayed, or overlooked. Without that form, you can't accurately file your taxes. You're either guessing, which could trigger an audit, or you're waiting until the last minute scrambling to get a replacement copy. Here's what just came out that's making this even more complicated. 9 states are still taxing Social Security benefits on top of federal taxes. Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Montana, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, and West Virginia. So if you live in any of those states, you're potentially getting hit twice. Federal taxes based on your provisional income and state taxes on top of that. And the thresholds vary by state. Some have exemptions for lower-income seniors, some don't. The rules are all over the place, which means if you're not checking that SSA 1099 form right now and cross-referencing it with your state's tax code, you could be in for a very unpleasant surprise in April. Now let's talk about why this timing matters emotionally. December is when people are broke. The holidays drain bank accounts. Credit cards are maxed out. Budgets are stretched thin. And now, right in the middle of all that financial stress, you're supposed to log into your Social Security account, download a tax form, calculate your provisional income, figure out if you owe taxes, and start planning for that bill. It's not just bad timing. It feels almost deliberate. Like they're releasing this information when they know people are least likely to be paying attention. If this breakdown is helping you see what's actually happening here, just hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this kind of information. I appreciate it. Here's where it doesn't add up, and this is what's been bugging me. The White House made a big show about eliminating taxes on Social Security, campaign rallies, official statements, victory laps. But when you dig into the actual policy changes, or lack thereof, nothing moved. The taxation thresholds, set in 1983 and 1993, still active. The formula for calculating provisional income? Unchanged. The percentage of your benefits subject to tax once you hit those income limits? Exactly the same. Up to 50% of your benefits can be taxed, if you're between $25,000 and $34,000 in combined income as a single filer, or between $32,000 and $44,000 as a married couple. And if you exceed those upper limits, up to 85% of your benefits become taxable. So when they say taxes were eliminated, what they actually mean is they issued some guidance or relief in specific scenarios. But the core tax structure on Social Security benefits? Untouched. And that's the part nobody's clarifying. That's the part that's going to catch people off guard when they get their 1099 and realize they owe money. Now here's the other thing that's quietly happening, and this one's critical if you don't have a My Social Security account set up yet. A lot of people, and I mean a shocking number of people, are still relying on paper forms in the mail. They don't have online access. They don't know how to create an account. Or they tried once and got frustrated with the verification process and gave up. And I get it. The My Social Security portal isn't the most user-friendly system. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to set up if you're tech-savvy. Longer if you're not. But here's the problem. If you're waiting for that 1099 to show up in your mailbox, you're gambling. Mail gets lost. Mail gets delayed. Mail gets stolen. Especially this time of year when porch pirates are everywhere and postal volumes are through the roof. So if you don't have online access to your Social Security information right now, today is the day to set it up. Not next week. Not in January when everyone else is flooding the system and wait times spike. Today. Because that 1099 is live. It's sitting there in your account right now if you're a 2024 beneficiary. You can download it, print it, save it to your files and have it ready when you need it. No waiting, no worrying, no wondering if it got lost in the mail. And here's what they're not telling you about those mailed copies. The SSA says all forms will be delivered by the end of January. That's a 6-week window from when they start mailing on December 26th to when the last batch arrives. 6 weeks. Which means if you're one of the later deliveries, you might not get your 1099 until the very end of January. And if there's any issue, wrong address, processing error, postal delay, you're not finding out until February. At which point you're either filing for an extension or trying to get a replacement form while tax deadlines are looming. Nobody's talking about this tension, by the way. Nobody's addressing the fact that the Social Security Administration is releasing critical tax documents during the most chaotic time of year, using a mail system that's already overloaded, while simultaneously not making it crystal clear to beneficiaries that they can access this information online immediately. It's a strange contradiction. On one hand, they're digitizing and modernizing access. On the other hand, they're still defaulting to paper processes that create unnecessary delays and stress. And it makes you wonder what the end game is here. Is this about efficiency? Is this about moving people toward digital systems to reduce administrative costs? Or is this about creating just enough friction that people miss deadlines, make mistakes, and end up either overpaying taxes or underpaying and getting hit with penalties later? I don't have a definitive answer to that. But I think it's a question worth sitting with. Let me give you one more example of how this plays out in real terms. Let's say you're a single filer. You collected $24,000 in Social Security benefits in 2024. You also had $15,000 in income from a part-time job and $3,000 in interest from savings. Your combined income is $15,000 plus $3,000 plus half of your Social Security benefits, which is $12,000. That puts you at $30,000 in provisional income. You're over the $25,000 threshold, which means up to 50% of your Social Security benefits, $12,000, could be subject to federal income tax. But here's the thing. Most people don't know how to calculate provisional income. They see quote, chain quote, combined income, and think it just means their wages and Social Security added together. They don't realize you're supposed to include non-taxable interest. They don't realize you're only counting half of Social Security in the calculation, but the tax is applied to the full benefit amount based on where you land in the brackets. It's confusing by design. And without that 1099 in hand, breaking down exactly what you received and what's taxable, you're flying blind. So what do you actually do with this information? First, log into your My Social Security account today. Right now. Don't wait. If you don't have an account, set one up. It's going to take 10 to 15 minutes, and yes, it's annoying, but it's worth it. Once you're in, download your SSA 1099. Look at Box 5, which shows your total benefits paid in 2024. Look at Box 3, which shows the total Social Security benefits you received. Cross-reference those numbers with your other income sources and start calculating your provisional income so you know whether you're going to owe taxes. Second, if you live in one of those 9 states that tax Social Security benefits, check your state-specific rules. Some states have income exemptions. Some have age-based exemptions. Some have none. You need to know where you stand before April. Third, if you're expecting that 1099 in the mail and it doesn't show up by mid-January, don't wait until the end of the month. Call the SSA, request a replacement, or log in online and download it yourself. Don't let a lost piece of mail derail your entire tax filing timeline. But here's what I can't tell you. I can't tell you if there's going to be any actual legislative movement on eliminating Social Security taxes in 2025. There's talk. There are proposals floating around. But nothing's passed, nothing's law, and until something concrete happens, you're filing taxes under the same rules that have been in place for 40 years. What I can tell you is this. The system is not designed to hold your hand. It's designed to function at scale, which means it runs on deadlines and forms and processes that assume you're tracking everything yourself. If you're proactive, if you're logging in today, downloading your documents, doing your calculations early, you'll be fine. But if you're passive, if you're assuming the mail will show up on time and the numbers will make sense and everything will just work out, you're setting yourself up for stress. I'll be watching closely over the next few weeks to see if any clarifications come out about these tax rules, especially if there's any last-minute legislative action before the new Congress is seated. If something breaks, if there's a policy change or a new exemption or anything that affects how much you're paying on your Social Security benefits, I'll have a video up immediately. So make sure you're subscribed, notifications on, because this story isn't over. December might be when the forms drop, but January and February are when the real consequences play out for people who weren't prepared. Stay sharp. And if you know someone collecting Social Security who's not plugged into all this, especially someone who doesn't do online accounts or who's confused about the tax rules, send them this video. It might save them a major headache come tax season.